Welcome, everyone. Welcome to the Get More Done Summit, a masterclass series for purpose-driven female professionals like you, ready to confidently master your time, be more productive, and make life-changing money. And today, I'm really super excited to introduce you to Tiffany Taylor. Tiffany is a mindset and a holistic productivity coach. She's working with high achiever in order to build an intuitive time and task structure system that both support their goal and their health. And as you all know, like scheduling can sometimes be really overwhelming, generating a lot of fear, a lot of anxiety, a lot of communication issue. And Tiffany is able to support her clients through this challenge using techniques such as NLP, timeline therapy, hypnosis, and also through our own experience overcoming ADHD, anxiety, burnout, and stress disorder. And today she's here with us to speak about a really important topic, which is distraction and how to defend yourself against distraction. Welcome, Tiffany. How are you today?
I am great. I'm so excited to be here. Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, I'm really excited too. So let's start and let's told us. Can you tell us why do you love to speak about distraction? Because I know that's something that you speak a lot about.
Right. So my passion talking about distraction is that it's just so relatable. And even though I have ADHD and this is something I've really struggled with, it's at the point now, thanks to technology and social media, that I feel like the collective is having challenges staying focused in such a distraction-driven world. So I like to take my experience dealing with ADHD and really battling with distraction and overcoming that battle and helping other entrepreneurs do the same to protect their time, to protect their energy, and to protect the integrity of what it is they really want to get out of life.
Yeah, I totally understand. Like distraction is everywhere. Like, I mean, your phone is a distraction, your computer is a distraction, even the people around you are a distraction, or even your pet are distraction. Everything around us it can distract it is distracting us. So what do you think? Sorry about that. What, in your opinion, what makes distractions so expensive?
So what makes distraction so expensive is the attention it takes away. And to explain a little bit of what I mean by that, people think time is money. So when they think about getting distracted, they automatically think of, okay, this means I'm missing money. But we have far more time than we have attention. And to give you an example, when you work for someone else, you might get paid hourly or salary. So it doesn't matter how many hours you work, so long as the work gets done. But when you're an entrepreneur and you work for yourself, you can sit at your computer for 8 hours, but you're only going to get a result based on what you actually produce. And it takes a lot of attention and energy to do that. And you might only have 4 hours of focus a day. You might be able to stretch to 6, but the average person only has 3 hours of productive work per day, which is if you're planning 8 hours a day and you only actually get 3 done, you realize the value that attention has. And the reason it's important to recognize this is because multitasking has become so common when we talk about our daily workflow. And it's not possible for the brain to multitask. You're rapidly switching between tasks. And the danger that comes with that is you have what's called attention residue. Every time you switch from one task to the next, it takes about 16 to 23 minutes for your brain to be fully focused on that new task. Now, if you're multitasking throughout the day, or you're switching from operations to marketing to sales to CEO hat throughout the whole day, you're looking at hours of lost productivity and hours of lost focus.
Yeah, and actually that's really interesting. And I want to go back to the first thing that you said, time is money. And I think a lot of people don't know that. And because time is such an intangible notion, you think that when you are losing time sometimes, you are not losing money. But if you are not using your time properly, and especially when you are an entrepreneur, you are actually losing money.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And it's tough with the intangible. Like that's a great word. Time, I feel like, is even more tangible than energy and focus. Time, at least you have a constant and you have something to measure against. Focus is a little harder. There's not really a metric to look at that. That's very intuitive. That's very much your being. So trying to optimize focus, which is even more intangible than time, tends to be a challenge. But I challenge everyone listening today to realize that focus is money, not just time, focus. And those are two very different things.
Yeah, and actually, how do you know that you are really focusing? Because
So
as
I
you
like,
said,
mm,
times there is metrics of it, but focus, how do you know that?
yeah. So really the most productive way to work, depending on the kind of work you do, is to fall into what's called the flow state. And in
Mhm.
sports and athletics, they call this being in the zone. And that is when you completely drop into a task. There's nothing else going on. You might lose track of what the last time you ate. You're going to lose track of time altogether. You're going to be so absorbed in this task that it feels like the universe is moving your hands for you. Everything's getting done. And you might look up from your computer and realize that a couple hours has passed, but you got so much done in that time. That is the sweet spot of productivity. That's how you know you're truly focused. But you have to create an environment in order to experience that.
And that was going to be my question. What do you do in order to get in the zone?
So to get in the zone, distraction is one of those things. If you are easily distracted, we want to look at what we're blaming for that. We want to step away from blaming the phone, blaming social media, and blaming other people, because that takes our personal power away from us. We want to take responsibility for everything and start asking quality questions in order to improve. So if you find yourself easily distracted, that means setting boundaries on what hours people can communicate with you, what hours you can be reached, putting the phone in another room, using an app on your laptop like self-control app or rescue time that'll completely block out any websites that you find distracting, setting your environment up for success, making sure you ate, making sure you have water easily accessible, making sure there's nothing else on your to-do list. And most importantly, having the time, maybe 3 minutes, to just do a brain dump. Everything that's on your mind, put it on paper so you can let it go and fully focus on the task at hand without worrying about what you might be forgetting.
And do you think that one of the biggest mistakes that people are doing is not taking care of the environment in order to be more productive?
Absolutely. And this is kind of an interesting question because everyone's different here. There's not one perfect environment for everyone. Some people need one consistent, quiet environment in their own room, and they might feel more comfortable, more grounded by having, decorations around that might make them feel good, having a vision board around. Other people cannot do the monotony of having one single location. So sometimes doing, like, I have some of my clients go on email dates. If they dread looking at their email once a month, they completely clean it out on a coffee date, which makes it a lot easier for them to focus on that one thing because they don't feel like they're missing out on time. Or maybe working from a co-working space and having a mobile office. The key is realizing what works best for you, what helps you focus. Are you easily distracted by sound? You need somewhere quiet. Are you easily distracted by anything going on behind the laptop? Okay, then maybe you should have a wall in front of you or be in your own closed space. Do you work best by body doubling? A lot of ADHDers do this. They work best when they have at least one other person holding them accountable for an hour at a time getting work done. It's really a matter of experimentation and seeing what works for you in order to create that optimal environment.
And in order to do this experimentation, are you asking your client to track everything they are doing and to see when they are productive and when they're not productive and why they were productive and why they were not productive at this right moment?
Absolutely. I have all my clients the first week working with me do a time audit. And I have them do it on Google Calendar only, and they track every 30 minutes of where their time's going. Not in general either. Very specifically, if they spend 10 minutes checking email, they put that in. If they spend 45 minutes texting, they put that in. They're not just going to write work. They're going to write exactly the task they were working on. At the end of the week, we see where all the time went, and that goes outside of work as well, also personal time. And once we have that time audit, we kind of see where we're getting at. We can see when the most important tasks got done. We can see where the energy levels are between Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. And we can make sure that we're leveling out in a way where we have predictable, focused time.
Yeah, and I think what you are saying is that you need to have awareness in order to make change. And you need to be aware of where you are actually spending your time, because if you are not aware of where you are spending your time, how can you change it and how can you have a better use of it?
Exactly. Self-awareness is key. And, within productivity, I'm sure you hear this. I hear all the time the phrase, I felt really productive today. And that's great that you feel that way, but I challenge anyone that uses that phrase to find a new word for it, because productivity should be more than a feeling. It should be something you measure. You should know you're productive because you move the needle in your business, and you should know exactly what tasks actually move the needle in your business. That way you can see how you're measuring up against your goals. The other key being goals. You need goals to measure against. Feeling productive could mean I got all my chores done today, so I felt productive. Was it productive if you're not working towards a certain goal? That's debatable. Productivity is personal, so you have to decide for yourself. But yeah, it really depends.
And I think it's also deciding on the prioritization that you're actually doing. Because I mean, if one of your goals is the one that you really want to achieve the first, I mean, you should have some task in your day-to-day basis in order to reach this goal. Because if you are spending your whole day doing chore, like basically you are not doing anything in order to move towards this goal.
Yeah, and then you end up in this weird complex where you feel really productive every day, but then a year has passed and you've made no progress towards your goals, and you end up feeling doubtful. You end up losing confidence. Maybe you're not feeling the self-worth as strong anymore, and that's the situation we really want to avoid.
Yeah, and actually, the more action you take, the more you will feel confident in order to reach your goal. So that everything
Bingo.
is linked together.
Exactly.
Do do you think there is any other mistake that people are actually doing, um, make around like distraction?
Absolutely. The most common mistakes I see around distraction is blaming a lack of discipline or self-trust as the reason for distraction. And this is really dangerous because it hurts someone's emotional state as well. Being distracted does not come from a lack of discipline. Distraction is very much a symptom of something much deeper going on. And the most common symptoms I see, I mean, the most common causes I see of distraction are something like a very deep rooted underlying fear of rejection, a fear of failure, a fear of success, a fear of being judged, right? A feeling of not feeling like you belong somewhere. These tend to be the underlying subconscious feelings that are causing the distraction. Subconscious mind's always going to try to protect you. If you're feeling stressed or anxious, it's going to throw something else in your way so you can think about something else. So it's pretty much hiding those feelings from you. So you really want to get to the root of, why am I allowing myself to be distracted right now? Because that's what it is. We've all had days where we're working and we're so excited about what we're doing, the phone might ring and we don't even look at it because we're so absorbed in our task. So it really is us that's open to distraction. We can't be blaming the external things. You don't want to blame distraction as a reason for lack of progress or slow progress. You don't want to spend too much time just blocking the external distractions without looking inside. You always want to go deeper and make sure you have that internal alignment going whenever you're working in momentum. And the last mistake I really see is people not defining what distraction is. Distraction is a commonly used word, but it's different to everyone. And it's important that you draw that line between distraction and entertainment, distraction and relaxation, right? Distraction and social time. If you don't have a boundary set or a budget set in terms of time and energy for different parts of your life, you're going to call everything a distraction, which could be dangerous, right? So you want to make sure that you, for yourself, draw a line between what is entertainment and what is distraction, right?
Yeah,
Where are you going to draw that line for yourself?
and actually you're right, because most of the people consider like social media as a distraction.
Exactly.
Why sometimes, like for some people social media can be about work, for some people it can be about entertainment. So yeah, I think that you're right, and you really need to understand what is really distracting you, and which mean having kind of a negative impact on your behavior, and what is like really filling you, and what is having a positive impact on yourself and your level of energy.
Yes, exactly. And maybe asking yourself, here's another thing the audience can use. If you find yourself, for example, at the grocery store and immediately you wait in line and you go to check your phone, or if you're driving, you get to a red light, immediately you go to check your phone. Pause and stop yourself from doing that. Catch those small moments and then ask yourself, what am I avoiding thinking about right now? The subconscious mind is going to give you an answer. And this is how you start to go deeper inside the subconscious and learn what's going on. Your mind needs that space to breathe.
Yeah, and that's really true. But sometimes it is harder than easier to do it, because looking into your subconscious thoughts sometimes is not something that is easier. So I know that some people are journaling about it. What are you doing exactly about it to get it out?
Yeah. So the biggest breakthroughs I've had have always been with a coach. I'm a firm believer in coaches. My mindset coach, she brought me through the full launch of my business, and it was life changing entirely. Journaling's amazing. I love journaling. I just went to an intention setting ceremony yesterday with a new moon, which was really cool. You write down all your goals, all your habits, everything you want to let go. What I do is schedule time for reflection. We're in such a fast-paced world. Social media is even faster. I take downtime. I take time to reflect on my week. How did I do this week? How am I feeling about how I did this week? What could I have done better? How can I reflect that in my next week's schedule? Taking that time to reflect has been huge for me to go inside. But I always found that coaching was the fastest way to kind of extract those viruses from our mind, right? Extract those fears and make sure they just disappear.
But actually, a lot of people, when they are taking this reflection time, this downtime, they don't feel really comfortable because they think they are losing time. What can you say to these people? Are they really losing time, or are they actually gaining time?
It's an investment, right? I mean, that would be the equivalent if you're running a business. You're making all the money, but you're not looking at where your spending's going. Business, it runs on sales, but if you don't have any idea, maybe if you're not watching the returns, if you have a product-based business, or if you're not watching expenses, you could be in trouble and have no idea about it. You can feel really productive if you're only looking at revenue, but if you're not looking at all the other factors, you might see a very different picture. Uh, there's a way, if you set a routine, that it shouldn't take more than 25 minutes a week to set up your calendar for the week ahead. And it shouldn't take more than 25 minutes a week to really reflect on where you're at, where you want to be, and make any pivots that are necessary.
So basically, what you are saying to the audience is like, doing is good, but thinking about what you are purposefully doing is
Yeah.
even better.
Yeah, imagine, for example, a sports team. Imagine American football team or a soccer team that they practice every day. They don't talk about strategies. They don't reflect, and then they go into the championships. They're probably not going to perform very well. They're going to feel like they're doing great, but how are they actually going to perform? Well, if they weren't reflecting on how they were doing and they weren't constantly learning, if they didn't have that coach there constantly giving them a feedback loop on what they can do better, they're probably not going to win that championship. And, entrepreneurship is just as much a sport of the mind.
Yeah, and I totally agree with you. And actually, that tied to something that you said is that we are all choosing our action. And every day, everything that we are doing, whether we are in autopilot or not, we are actually choosing to do it.
Absolutely.
A-
Absolutely.
And in your opinion, what can the audience do in order to stop doing that and make the right choice?
Taking a moment to decide what is your why, what is your vision, right? And the entrepreneurs usually already got to this at some point. A lot of times you have to leave a job to drop into entrepreneurship. But what are you doing it all for? What is the lifestyle you envision yourself at the end? If you're not doing this in alignment, you could be spinning your wheels and end up in a totally different place. If you don't get in the car and just drive in a direction without having any idea where you're going, right? If you have an idea of you want to be at a beach and you just take a random road and you say, I'm just going to press the gas and I'll get there. If you end up at a mountain, or if you end up in a valley or a desert, you're not going to be where you want to be. And that could be frustrating, right? Maybe the journey will still be interesting, but you might feel like you wasted time. So in the end, we always regret the things we didn't do more than things we did. And hindsight is always 2020. And if hindsight's 2020, we better amplify that and have more of it to make better educated decisions going forward. Life absolutely is always about choices. And when you take the responsibility for that, you take more of your personal power back, and your destiny is in your hands.
Yeah, and actually, that's something that you said that is really true. When people think about productivity, the first thing that we are thinking about is like doing more. Where
Yes.
maybe like the definition is like being more intentional with what we're actually doing and
Yes,
choosing the action that we need to do in order to get where we really want to go.
absolutely. Productivity is about doing less. I
Yeah,
go against
and
everyone on this. It's about doing less. And an analogy I use this week, or actually I'll use a different one because I've been using this one a lot. Example is a movie. When you go to film a movie and you have a production team, they take hours, if not days worth of video content that they're recording. And all of it's really awesome. But they have to fit all of that content into about an hour and a half. It's not the content they record that makes the movie, it's the editor that makes the movie. And the editor's job is to take things out of the movie in order to craft something beautiful. And in your life, you have to be that editor. What are you going to take away in order to really create that contrast and that draw within your own storyline?
actually that's something really interesting because the summit is called the Get More Done Summit. And sometimes in order to get more done, you need to do less.
Yes, absolutely.
Okay, cool.
Absolutely. That's the
So
way. Doing less is the way to get more done. Doing less things, but more action in one direction.
yeah, I completely agree with you, and I hope that all the audience is taking good note of that.
Yes,
Getting more done doesn't mean doing all the time, and sometimes it's doing less. So just
absolutely.
remember that. And do you have in mind any quick action step, any adjustment that the audience can actually take in order to eliminate distraction from their environment?
Absolutely. So 3 Ds. You want to define what distraction is for you as soon as possible. Write it down, pen and paper, write it down. What is distraction for you? You want to make that decision. Where am I going to draw the line on this? Maybe an hour a day of Instagram or social media is entertainment for you, or maybe it's work, but maybe after the hour mark, it becomes entertainment. Maybe TV is social time for you, or maybe altogether as a concept, it's a complete distraction. Make that decision on where are you drawing the line and what are you going to do about it? How much distraction is acceptable for you in your life, depending on your goals? And then what you want to do is you want to develop a daily discipline to defend yourself against distraction. And this daily discipline can be something along the lines of as little as a 15-minute meditation. Not necessarily, full meditation. It could be just sitting for 15 minutes outside in silence with no technology. Could mean 15 minutes journaling a day. Just like, brushing your teeth takes 3 minutes twice a day. It's not a lot of time, but clearly has an impact longer term. Same thing with journaling. Doesn't need to be a lot of time, but it has a massive compound effect in the long term. So you want to have something daily that you do in order to defend yourself against distraction.
Yeah, and I think, like you said, like being mindful, like even if it's just for 5 minutes a day, when during, I know a lot of women are running everywhere all day. Just take 5 minutes and try to be present just for 5 minutes because it's
Yes,
going to do a lot of good stuff to you.
absolutely. Absolutely.
Okay, so can you tell us what is coming next in your business? What is going to happen like in the coming month?
Absolutely. I'm actually really excited. I'm launching a group coaching program. It's going to be a 1 year mentorship on all things stress management, scheduling, time management, and also intention setting, and really focusing on having values, being intentional with everything you're doing on a daily basis. And this is going to be a course. It's going to be an amazing community. We're going to meet regularly, and that's launching at the end of October.
Oh, that's really nice. So if you are interested, you can actually connect with Tiffany just right below the video. And actually, just one more thing. Do you think that
Yes.
stress management and distraction are related?
Absolutely. Absolutely. When you're so stressed and you're used to a high pace environment, you feel the need to keep that pace up. So you actually feel uncomfortable. Like that 5 minutes of silence, if you're not doing stress management, that 5 minutes seems like a very long time and mission impossible. You doing stress management takes a lot less time than thinking about doing it, right? The actual doing it takes way less time, but it's so important. You can't be in flow and get into that flow state if you're overwhelmed. You can't sleep well if you're stressed. And if you don't sleep well, you can't focus. It absolutely goes hand in hand.
Yeah, and actually, do you think that spending, because distraction are most of the time related to screen, like computers, phone, TV. Do you think also we're getting more stressed because we are spending a lot of time in front of screens?
Absolutely. And I think COVID has a lot to do with it as well, because a lot of times we relieve stress is in community and spending time with others, quality time in person with people we care about. And COVID really took that away from a lot of people. So what ended up happening is we ended up online even more. So what we didn't have online now is online. Some people are spending 9, 10, 12, 13 hours a day online. And it's already stressful on the body to be doing that. It's already stressful on the body when you're not, grounding, when you're not having sunlight, and when you're not taking breaks and going on long walks and having that movement. But also when you remove that physical in-person community social time, causes a lot of stress and anxiety within us. So it's really important to do the stress management so that you don't feel disconnected and lost. Everyone needs to feel seen. Everyone needs to feel loved. Everyone needs to feel sorted, supported. And when we're in that state where we feel all of these things, that's where we can be our most productive selves in work and outside.
Yeah, I completely agree with you. And actually, the more time we spend online, the less time we are focusing. So that's why this is really, really important to eliminate distraction, have some really focused time. So you are really purposefully choosing to be productive. So thank you very much for all of your nice advice today. If you are interested by the work of Tiffany, she has offering you a free gift, which is just right below the video. This is a free masterclass to our full in-depth masterclass on distraction. So basically, you will dive deeper on today's talk, and you will get a 7-day guide to increasing your productivity, as well as downloadable and printable worksheet for prioritizing. One more question, Tiffany. What is your best advice to get more done? Even if I have like a small idea of what you are going to say today.
Know what it is you want to get done.
Okay.
I'm very known for saying I'm very anti to-do list. If you want to get more done, don't use a to-do list. Put everything on a calendar. If you have a running to-do list, your mind is constantly thinking, what else am I forgetting? What else do I need to add to the list? Oh, I need to do this. And you're actually looking for a list to build, and that's not productive. Use a digital calendar and know what it is you want to accomplish, not just short term, but long term. You might find out that a lot of what you're doing isn't actually contributing towards moving the needle in your business.
Yeah, this is really interesting. And actually, getting more is also about doing less. That's what you said earlier too. So thank you very much for sharing your expertise today. Have a lovely day all, and see you in the next interview. Bye bye, everyone.
That's good. Thank you.